Jacob here, and today we're gonna have a face-off. Harpacrown versus Harpacrown. Shandao versus Shandao. Who will come out on top? Let's talk and start off about my personal experience with Harpacrown. Now, I've had Harpacrown since Christmas of 2016. It was a gift for me. I really wanted the book. I'd heard amazing things about it. I read it, I loved it, and sadly I forgot to do a review for it like I intended. Now, months later, and getting in good touch with Mr. Shandao, Mark himself, nearly a year later actually, I'm proud to announce that my standard edition just doesn't cut it anymore. Mark was kind enough to send me a copy of Fuchsia's as well as this lovely beauty right here, the Harpacrown Collector's Edition. Let's take a look at what makes this thing so beautiful and the main difference between the two close up in this face-off now. So what is the difference? What is the difference between the standard edition and the collector's edition outside of the obvious, which is the amazing production content that goes into the collectors versus the standards, which is hardback, paperback, ta-da. The main difference you're going to find here is about 60 pages, actually exactly 60 pages of content from friends, other contributors, to the great work that is Harpacrown. Now on its own, in the standard edition, Harpacrown is still great, but let's get into what the special content is. The first thing on our list is Dicing with Death. What this is an amazing routine that kind of combines two beloved things in mentalism. It combines kind of your standard Karatsuke effect, but it's anything but standard, with a truth liar as well as serial killer, find the killer and the victim kind of plot. In this, essentially, it uses a lovely bag as well as some dice, and you are able to have somebody elected as a victim as well as a murderer. And you're able to divine both, and there's multiple sections of how the victim was actually done in, as well as what the murderer's motive really was in the whole thing. It's a fascinating, fascinating effect. It does involve quite a bit of work. That being said, I hope you know that with lots of work comes a great payoff. Next up we have WWTPD. Kind of sounds like those interesting Christian bands that we saw for many years here in the States. What is WWTPD? Essentially what it is what would Peter Turner do? Interesting thing, in the actual book itself it goes into why Mark named it this, aside from the fact that it's a great homage to Pete, one of his near dear friends, as well as mine. Hi Pete, hope you're seeing this. That being said, WWPTD is essentially a killer numerology effect. And it's so darn simple is the best part. When you read it, some of you may read it and just throw it away. You're going to be the ones missing out, because it truly is a stunning effect where you reveal a date of birth, all in a numerological reading, and has the perfect logical disconnect that really does answer the question of what would Peter Turner do. Next up we have Numastatist. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, by one of my favorite people I've ever met in the whole magic community, Mark Elsden. You ever want to have a good time? Go out and get a whole, if it's Mark, 16 rounds of beers at Mark. He'll be perfectly fine. You'll be on the floor, but he's a great guy. He's really, really interesting and always has the craziest stories to tell. Mark, I really hope you're back here in Columbus soon. I miss you, brother. That being said, this is an effect that's seen release, I believe, somewhere else. I know a bit of it has been in his Penguin Live lecture, one of the two, but this is a full 3-phased effect using pocket change. So essentially, once you have this change in your pocket, and even you could probably do it on the go as well, figuring out using other people's pocket change as well, you've really got yourself an absolutely stunning effect that's going to be 3-phase, interact, get multiple people involved, and it's as simple as carrying some change. There's no gimmicks, no gadgetry. It's essentially like conversations as mentalism. It's probably my favorite thing I've read from the whole, it's probably the favorite thing I've seen from the whole kind of genre of the conversation mentalism style effects. I really, really love this effect. I really, really want to take it out and work it. And at the same time, I really, really don't want to color your pocket change, but I might have to make an exception because I do love me some Elston. Our fourth special effect that's added in here to the Harpacrown Collector's Edition is by a new friend that I just recently made, and I'm so happy I did because he's such a delightful guy, Mr. John Carey. And it's his One Thought Across. One Thought Across is kind of, in a way, which it feels strange being in a book of mentalism, but it's kind of a mentalist take on the cards across, where it's very minimalistic, as you kind of know is the trademark of John and his work, as well as highly effective and simple. Any deck, anytime, from a shuffle deck, anywhere. Really, really great effect. I might have to start taking this one out and using it because it really is just great. Basically, you reveal a thought of card, and then you finally have it teleport across the room, into someone's pocket, whatever. You have it teleport from one packet to another very cleanly. If you were to see this performed, this one just might get you, because it is very clever, the workings of it. Almost done here. On the fifth effect, we have Thought Unlinking. This is not as much of an effect as a series of effects that a principle can be applied to. What is Thought Unlinking? Thought Unlinking is what, I like the way Michael puts it, lazy man's pre-show. This is a principle that is highly, highly, highly amazing. I don't think that was the right word I was looking for, but impressive, I don't know. I think you're really going to enjoy it. If you've seen A Piece of My Mind, then it's not A Piece of My Mind, A Piece of My Mind by Mr. Murray. It is in that book. For those of you who are a fan of Robert Watkins, his severance technique, I had to recall what it was called, is based on this, and it's something I use all the time. And Robert actually uses the original form for his pre-show, I know, as well. It's a stunning, stunning, stunning piece. And while a lot of you might look over it again, that's the thing. Simplicity and efficiency of method should dictate above all. You should never let your situation, you should, to an extent, never let your situation dictate your circumstances. Never let your magician brain tell you there's something, that's pretty basic, just because it's something that seems like it might be kind of obvious, because thought unlinking is brilliant. Imagine just being able to have somebody think of one thing, and then you're able to get something else off the back of it with apparent no pre-show, because it happens real time. It's stunning. You really do need to check this one out. Finally, the final extra effect principle added into Harpacrown is the Searchlight principle by my friend Mike Phillips. Hi Mike, I hope you're doing well. Hope the kids are well too. Searchlight principle is essentially your essentially Mike's take on the brain game. Brain games by the prolific man that is Banachek. Brain games are all about these psychological gambits and such that you can play with letters in a word to kind of reveal how somebody thinks as revealing what they are thinking. And this is no exception at all. The brain game for this is incredible. It takes the standard brain game, having somebody think of a letter from a word, and allows you to hit it with 100% accuracy most of the time. That being said, when I say most of the time, literally if you don't hit this one, it's either your screw up or their screw up. Usually going to be on them, not on you. But that being said, it's very hard to do. And you can get multiple letters out of it, which is really, really a stunning, amazing thing about this. Make sure you check it out. So what are you going to find collectively in Harpacrown? In Harpacrown, there's, I think, at least 30 effects. Definitely within here. Principles, effects, essays, the whole 9 yards. And this is the first mentalism book that nearly made me tear up and cry. Not for the wrong reasons, but simply for the fact that it's so incredibly touching. That being said, this book opens up with a homage to Mark's father, Ross Shandau. Ross was a magician in England many years ago that essentially just over time deteriorated and continued to push and to keep going and become one of the most amazing magicians in the art for his time, despite all of the setbacks that he had. I'm not going to say much. I think this is a chapter that really is worth the price of the book alone. This story, this cultivation of what made Mark who he is and why he takes the last name Shandau instead of his real last name, which I know because you sent me the book, but I'll let you guys figure that out on your own, is really, really incredible. It's amazing the story that Mark has and the story that his father has as well, from cradle to grave. I highly recommend you don't skip this chapter over, you read it intensively, and you'll probably have a new lease on life out of it. So, starting off the effects in the book here, we have switch, melt, and push. These are all kind of combined, in my opinions, because they are coin mentalism effects. Melt and push being coin bending effects. Melt's an amazing technique that uses a principle and technique called the Shandau switch, which is, according to many out there, and I'm one that believes it as well, the cleanest coin switch in existence. So that being said, it's no surprise if you find me a coin routine out there, which I know there are some with benders and stuff, where you don't have to switch the coins, but you find me a completely gimmickless, clean coin bend effect that uses no gimmicks, props, or switches, I'll give you a hug. I will personally travel to you and give you a hug. I would love to see it. That being said, the Shandau switch is incredible what it does. There is a slight restriction to it in what you wear, but that's really it. And I'm sure some of you out there that are equally as clever can take Mark's psychology and thinking and apply it to other ways. Personally, I'm a prolific coin handler. No one really knows that about me, but I love coins, and that was my original first love. Cards may have been my first love technically, but coins were really the first thing I said, yeah, I want to get great at this, and I want to be the best. And in a lot of ways, and I was the best for a while, and I just lost my chops, and now we're back to it. Melt is a stunning coin bending effect where the coin actually just melts right in the spectator's hands. The presentation, the psychology, the well-roundedness of the presentation really makes it hit home. Push is even more amazing. It's in a way a mass effect. Imagine doing a coin bend and then the pocket change your spectator pulled out, you took the coin from, they take some of that out of their pocket and hold it in their hands, and you push that energy into the coin again and into their hand, and multiple coins in their hand and their pocket change actually bend. It's stunning. You gotta see it, you gotta experience it, you gotta take it out and do it. It's incredible what you can do with this wonderful worker's tool. Next, we have the first and second date. These are really cool, simple, and direct effects. All they really are is a variation on a coin prediction that was originally put out there and I saw done by Mark Strivings during his Penguin lecture. But from my understanding, it was originally published in Mobile Mentalism in, I believe, the early 90s. Great book for those of you out there. Mark's really the one that created this walk-around mentalism and took it from the stage and brought it close up and really made it something really unique. Though that is debatable. And I know some of you will be debating with me in the comments now. Don't do it, please. I admitted it. You'll debate with me. Just don't do it. So what is first and second date? They are simply coin prediction effects. Really simple, direct, and they are workers. The first effect is the first effect and second effect have different methods, but are equally as clean. And some of you prefer one versus the other, but I think that both of them have something really great to offer. Next up, we have an essay. What an interesting essay it is, too. This essay is on magician's guilt. Now, in this essay, before I actually get into it, if you've seen Mark perform, then you definitely will understand why he's the best person to write on this. He is the most shameless, guiltless magician, mentalist on the planet. He just is so fluid and he feels so real because he puts his heart and his soul and his belief into what he does. and he's understood what really separates out the good from the bad, the great from the not so great. So if you haven't seen Mark perform, go on the Alakazam YouTube channel and watch a Fuchsius done live. You'll understand after you watch that how just smooth and completely seamless his performance is. There's no overstating, there's no this or that. The whole essay goes into what really makes Mark's performances so perfect. And I think this is a chapter that's really going to change your thinking and hopefully make you catch yourself on a few things that you've done. I know it made me catch a lot of things I was doing that have since improved my performances and really, really made me more satisfied overall with my work personally. Numbers is crazy. Imagine for me for a moment. You took some personal information from folks, they entered some personal numbers into a borrowed iPhone, or yours, it doesn't matter. They add them together, divide them, multiply them, they get a long stream of numbers which they then choose to rearrange into a new number that's written on a business card. No switches, no traditional add a number method here, to an extent, and then you cleanly pull out of your wallet a lotto ticket, which you, while they're figuring out how the numbers should go in order, while they're doing that, and before you get midway through that, you already have the lotto ticket out of your wallet ready and saying, and it's talking about it, and you open it up, and that randomly organized, randomly generated series of numbers is the actual lotto numbers on your ticket. And you can give it away if you want to. Wow. This thing is killer. It's really, really unique, and I've really got my brain thinking as to what is possible with this principle, this effect, this whatever you want to call it. Really, you need to check this one out. This one's cool. This is another one of those workers' effects. It does require a little something extra, and I'm sure other of you out there will be able to come up with ways to do it without this extra thing, but really, if you want to do it that bad, then you're going to get the extra thing and you're going to want it. And you're going to do it. Trust me. Now comes one of my favorite pieces in the whole book. This is called Pictures. Pictures, essentially, is a drawing duplication. But it's a drawing duplication with 4 different handlings that work in 4 different situations, more often than not. It can be done completely surrounded, and it looks so damn good. Because they make a picture, take it off, put it in their pocket, and you cleanly can put the cards away, whatever, depending on the variation. Sometimes you don't even have to take the card. Sometimes you don't even have to really take the cards out of their hand, keep them out of their hand, and you're able to duplicate it. This is not your standard bold business or your standard drawing duplication in general. This is a really, really great effect. For those of you who are workers, you'll be happy to know it resets relatively quickly. So as you're going from that time between tables or whatever you're going to do, you can reset it and it's good to go again. Presentation on it's really nice as well. Mark's really refined this thing and taken out and used it just way too many times to really overall make this just a stunning piece of close-up parlor and stage mentalism. Now next is my personal favorite effect. I can't just express how much I love it. I can't even fully grasp it. What it is, it's Nod to Pocket Pete, which is the most bizarre, weird title I've seen in a while. But what it is, imagine that Turner's, I think it's Dig Deeper, or Deeper Down from Jinx, Nod to Pocket Watch. Yeah, those two just basically had a baby. And it's nuts, really, what you can do with this thing. There is a little bit of setup in it, and there are some special props involved, but it's something that generally you're going to have for the most part. And if you don't want to do the full thing, I actually have a minimalist version I've created that can be really made spur of the moment on the fly. You just go to the bathroom for a second and grab some business cards, make it up, and come back out. Whatever you're going to do, preferably your own business cards or your own blank billet stock. But it's a version that I've created as well, and it uses as the same kind of effect, but a little bit less powerful because Mark's is just all around, comes full circle, stunning. Nod to Pocket Pete is going to be the effect I think most of you are going to take away and go, wow, this is great. That is, if you're not being a purist, like I'm a purist, and it escaped my glances at first because I am a purist to an extent. Don't have a lot of gizmos, gadgets. I just don't have the money to really invest in it. And I don't really like investing money in it because I like to just have something that I can do anytime, anywhere. But this makes me start to have an exception for that, because this is really an exceptional effect. It's just so personalized, it's so hard-hitting, it's got moments of comedy built into it, it's got those moments where it builds from a yeah, right, all the way to a whoa, wait, what thing, and it also has that extra little bit that I really love about Deeper Down from Jinxed. This one you're gonna probably use heavily. And if you're interested in the minimalistic version of it, I might be able to make a video of it eventually. I haven't really been able to work it much lately because I've just been so busy. I've been able to perform really, do a lot. I've got so much going on, but I really think you're going to enjoy this effect. Nod to Pocket Pete. So, the next thing we have in here is getting to know you from a memory. Getting to know you from a memory is another one of those mutant hybrids. Mark and I share this deep love of taking two completely different effects, squishing them together and creating something really new and unique. It's kind of ironic, so we talked about it, and I was doing something relatively similar, but Mark's is much better, utilizing Getting to Know You with a Memoria style effect a la Fraser Parker. Getting to Know You, for those who don't know, is an effect by Peter Turner. It appeared in his Devil in Disguise, which actually is over on my shelf, where you can see the crystal ball right there. It is actually on that shelf, just below in the lovely section with all my magic-y DVDs, or at least a chunk of them. So, that being said, Getting to Know You from a Memory is essentially being able to, one, deliver a spot-on hot read, while at the same time revealing a freely thought-of memory. Now, the cool thing is, many of you that know Memoria are going to think, well, you know, but Memoria wasn't really a freely thought-of. Shut up. This is really a freely thought-of memory. You give about 12 different examples that don't really have a lot of restriction on it, and you're able to reveal it. And it's really cool. It can be a different memory every time. It's really, really cool what Mark's done with this. It has a little bit of influence from an Art Vanderlei effect as well. I'm not familiar with Art Vanderlei effect, but I know Art. He makes phenomenal work, and it's very workable. It's very direct, and all it really requires, if you want a bare necessities, the simple bare, is a deck of cards. Though it is recommended it's in a stacked order, memorized order, or marked, something along those lines. But really, you don't need it. And I also have a technique for this as well. If you want to do this without a marked deck, I have something as well that I used for years to do this, and it was really nice and simple, and a lot of people seem to respond to it. So, for those of you interested, this effect is going to be one you're going to take out and use almost immediately, because you don't need anything special but a deck of cards, the knowledge, and the balls to go out and do it. Now we have an essay, Going Pro. This is a lot of food for thought for us. Now, me personally, while I perform part-time. I do gigs, I do corporate gigs primarily, I tinker, I create, and realistically, I'm not your professional performer yet. It's my long-term goal, but I'd rather be able to present myself correctly and learn how to sell myself by doing other industries, as well as having a decent living without magic first, which is what I'm working at right now, than just fully jumping and going pro. So Mark does cover that quite a bit. In the book, actually, he recommends a few tips that will really, really help you. Talks about what to look for, some of the percentages essentially that go into, you know, whether you're marketing yourself. You know, he kind of describes, I can't remember the exact statistics, but basically the percentage of marketer to debt collector to performer and creator and all that kind of stuff, and how it's really not quite as easy as you think it would be. And I know a lot of you out there probably think, oh yeah, well, I'm a phenomenal businessman. Bear with me, because I thought the same thing, and I took a step back when I was getting gigs regularly to really reorganize my business sense. And really is because I read Going Pro. I think there's a lot of things in here that you'll take away, you'll make you question yourself a little bit, make you question your business and how you do things. And this is one of those things I'd love to see Mark do a column for EPIC, Entrepreneurial Performers Inner Circle, which I've been a member of for 2 years now. I was one of the very first members, very first testimonials, been on there, love Kennedy, love him to death. We don't see eye to eye on everything, but at the end of the day, we laugh, we make fun of each other, and we create, and we just get along. We agree to disagree, but his business sense is unquestionable, as Mark's is as well. we were talking about some personal finances things the other day, and Mark's really knows how to do it. I agree with him on a lot of things, how finances should be done, and he makes some valid, amazing points. So, Kennedy, if you end up watching this, get Mark Shindell for Epic as a columnist here soon. I'll actually recommend him that. I'll actually recommend Kenny that himself. I'm making that proclamation right now. Next, we have some great rock, paper, scissors effects. I love rock, paper, scissors effects. The thing is, I don't own like Rock, Paper, Lies. It's been on my wish list for a while. I've already got too much right now that I'm dealing with. But Rock, Paper, Scissors, the three-phase effect from the book in Harpacrown is absolutely incredible. And the cool thing is, it's foolproof and it's well thought out. It does borrow one phase from a effect that I really loved from Luch's lecture that I think a lot of you saw, and so most of you, quite a few of you are probably using as well. But that's only the middle phase. The other two phases are great. The first phase, they play rock, paper, scissors with you. You're able to predict who wins. Second phase, you're able to predict not only who wins, but what the ending match is. The third phase, you bring in another spectator, and the two spectators play rock, paper, scissors, and you predict the outcome. Really, really clever in this. There's an interesting thing in the third phase that I really want to look into. I've seen it before, but I would have never thought of using it for this, and it's so, so cool. This is neato. Neato mosquito. Don't pass this over. Don't let your eyes glance over this in the book. I did it first, and I went back and looked at it about a month later. I'm like, how the hell did I miss this? What in the heck? And really, it's just one of those things that's great for workers out there that want commercial effects, which we'll get into that later in that essay here in the book. Next up, we have another essay. Really, I think a lot of you are going to skim over the essays, and I think that's where you're going to go wrong in your ownership of Harpacrown if you either have it now or you don't have it yet and you do plan on getting it. Respecting the art. That is the essay in this book, and it's really great. It talks about some of Mark's life and why he has so much respect for magic and mentalism. And really, it's another one of those chapters that will almost bring tears to your eyes. It's all about, you know, for example, and it made me rethink things, because I remember back in the day where someone was like, oh, do you see this Chris Angel guy? What do you think of him? And I'm like, oh, he's blah, 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 and I'm just not a big fan of Chris Angel's style personally. I know he's definitely changed a lot over the last few years, and I really applaud him for that. But, you know, I just kind of like, oh, yeah, camera tricks, whatever. And Mark goes over, makes a valid point. We shouldn't be doing that. Would we want someone to do that to us? Would we want someone to say, nail writer? No, it's not right. And Mark makes some valid points in this essay. I don't want to go too much into it because you really should just get the book and read it. Even if you didn't do any effects from the book and you just took the essays, I think you'd be a better off person and performer just from seeing those contents alone. This is a really big part of that too, here in Respecting the Art. So next up we have a series of out to lunch effects. So I'm one of those guys that I've always known of the out to lunch principle. I've seen some clever uses of it for sure. My first exposure to it, I think, was early in my Penguin Live days. It might have been the second lecture that actually came through, because my first one was Paul Draper. And I think it was with Max Krauss. He had an effect, a memory kind of effect. You have an altered memory or forgetting thing. And I saw it, I thought it was okay, you know. A lot of other people liked it. I just thought, it's okay. And I've seen a few other great uses of the out to lunch principle, but never something that's really hit home extremely hard. That being said, Luca Volpe, if I remember right, has an excellent version of it that he uses in, I believe it's a Sentimentalist DVD. Hi, Luca! And it's excellent. But other than that, I've really never seen one that caught my eye. That is until Harpacrown. So, once again, this is one of those things you see out to lunch. I think some of you just kind of go, old method, know everything about it. Turn off your brain. Empty your cup. You don't know everything. That's why Mark's going to fool you with this crap. With the second you empty your cup, you're ultimately better off in your experience in reading in a book. And I say this every review, but it's totally worth it. So what you're getting here in the lunch for two, you're getting a free will variation, a positive negative handling, as well as a rock paper scissors handling, which is really cool. So the free will handling essentially is very influenced by Mark experiencing Colin McLeod's free will principle effect, that I believe used a Hugo Shelley. It was in his Penguin lecture. It is also in Divine, one of my favorite books of all time. I go back and read that every few months just to get some extra inspiration and see things I've missed, because it always makes me think of things. The positive negative, also great. I'm a huge fan of the coin mentalism effects, especially positive negative. I have a version of my own I've been doing for years that I really love that kind of handles that initial ending prediction problem. It's a combination of another effect, an idea I saw Nefesh use originally, but I know that I use the scripting now by Mr. George Tate, aka Patrick Redford, in my variation. But it's a great handling of free will, and Mark has some really nice additions in there he's added in that I don't really want to spoil for you. The rock, paper, scissors effect is a lot like one of the phases you see inside of the three-phase rock, paper, scissors, and you really can use it there if you want to. It's not really structured that way, but you can make it structured that way. But it's a really great effect where you just predict the outcome of a game of rock, paper, scissors. And it's direct, it's simple, it's quick, and it really catches people's attention and really gets them focused on something that they love the ability to do, to predict the outcome of a game of rock, paper, scissors. The last effect in this collection of out-to-lunch principle effects is the three-course lunge. Now, what this is another rock, paper, scissors effect, but it has an extra bit to it that I think a lot of you will like, and I think some of you, basically what it is, the three-way out to lunch, which I think has a lot of applications to it, and a lot of you will read this and go, oh, I can apply that to this. At least that's how my brain worked, and I think you'll really like the initial idea that's inside of this. Scrap it. That's the principle. The scrap it principle. That's the next thing here. Scrap it principle is a really, really killer idea. I don't want to say more than that. Basically, it's similar in a way to two of my favorite things. I'll mention this later on in the review, but there's thought unlinking in here by Michael Murray. This goes great for that. And it reminds me a lot of the severance technique by Robert Watkins as well, which scrap it came first, of course. There's also another handling. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but Dan Harlan has one of the coolest center tier justifications I've ever seen. When I saw it, we were at a live Tuesday night show, and I literally went, oh, out loud, and he looked at me and just kind of giggled because he knew. But scrap it principle is very similar to that as well, but way different but similar. But scrap it principle is really nice. This is actually the principle that I use to practice propless mentalism. So for those of you who haven't seen my propless mentalism thought shop, this is the principle I'm using to practice some of the propless works, because really it's what it's there for. Thought stacking. Oh my gosh, this is really neat. Thought stacking is a concept that it's so great. It's essentially kind of a structuring concept, and Mark gives you a couple different examples in this. He does it with his I Unlock Your Mind routine, as well as his star sign divination, which actually now what he's using is Ophusius, and this is in Ophusius to an extent, not the Unlock Your Mind routine, which I think is really, really great and worth the price of admission. And yeah, it can actually be used with the other cell effects too, Michael Murray's effects, like calculated risk, Turner's cell phone unlock. You can use the bold unlock. Phantom. Phantom is great. No one knows about Phantom, but look it up if you can track it down. It's on Penguin Magic. Stunning effect. It's a cell unlock. But this can be used on a variety of things, but it's all about this idea of canceling out different things. And I won't say much more than that. But it makes your mind reading look and feel a lot more real and consistent. Next, we have kind of a mixture of essay/example, and this is commercial effects. So this is kind of an essay on what really works in the real world. Commercial effects has a variety of examples, some of which I've seen, some of which I haven't seen. Either way, after reading Mark's handlings on the different ideas, I really want to see some of the things I haven't seen. So what we have in here, one variation is on glance, another one on prevaricator. We have another one that's a director's cut, which I believe I've seen, but I'm not 100% sure, and the iForce book test. He has handling of all three and how to make them extra commercial, how to have layered methods to them that make them even more powerful in the real world. I really enjoyed his take on Prevaricator, because I've used Prevaricator on and off for years. It's just that great go-to effect when you don't have anything, and you don't want to resort to logic puzzles or anything like that, which I do like the logic puzzles. Monos is the one that converted me over to that side of the Force, but Prevaricator looks really, really nice with his handling, and it's mainly just an out in case you can't get the appropriate read. If those of you that have Prevaricator will understand what I mean. Brain farts, I have them all the time. Apparently, so does Mark. Brain farts is like a small chapter that has a few effects that Mark hasn't fully audience tested, but they're astounding principles and concepts. He mentions these are things he probably won't revisit, but he sees merit in all of them. So include them here so that way you can have something to spur your imagination on. And man, has it done that for me, especially with his close-up Q&A. His close-up Q&A has a really unique, I don't want to say really what it is because he'll tell what it is, but a really unique handling for billets that made me just go, fudge. Fudge! Fart! Shark! How did I not come up with that? It's really, really unique in the way of how it works, how it's close-up and personal. It all just jams together right and kind of layers in the appropriate way, and everything's justified. It takes one of the most, in my opinion, unjustified principles, techniques in mentalism, and finally makes it workable in this it makes it really workable in this context. That being said, I've seen the technique done well before, and those of you that own the book will know what I'm talking about, but really with this, it makes it even better in my opinion. It makes you able to do so much more with it. Hey guys, Jacob here. Thanks again for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, there's a lot more to come. Interviews, product reviews, who knows what else, probably random rants by yours truly, and kind of things that you're just going to enjoy, really. Thank you again. If you haven't subscribed yet, you can do that actually by clicking here. I'd appreciate it. If you want to see the latest video, you can see that one here. It's really good. I'll see you next time, and thanks again for tuning in to Mystery Arts Inc.